but they have power. And one of the things that our people in this country, you can't relate to them because you ain't never had power. You've never experienced power. Um, your ceiling has been justice. And justice for you comes from what the Democrats tell you justice is, what the Republicans tell you what justice is. You've never tasted power. You've never breathed the air of a free and sovereign nation. So maybe some of you are envious because you feel you're deserving of power. And you are deserving of power. But just because you're a little bit envious, just because you might be a little bit jealous, you can get over that. You shouldn't make it your crusade to work for regime change in Cuba. You shouldn't work for the isolation of Cuba. What type of nonsense is that? You should admire the fact they have power. And we know that you, like we said, and justice is a seductive appetizer. Lord, it's a seductive appetizer. It's so seductive that you forget that you're supposed to fight for power. And as Kwame Ture told you, Africans in the Democratic Party, you are the best illustration and example of visible powerlessness anywhere African people are. You can't relate to Cuba. You can't relate to Venezuela. You can't relate to Eritrea. You can't relate to these people who are masters of their own destiny. But if your fighting spirit is intact, you can fight for that and not compromise the fight for that. And part of that fight for that now is you being part of this Get Out of Cuba Way campaign. You can't say you're for human rights. What's more humane than this?
On the morning of August 3rd, 1920, 46-year-old Jacob Mills shined his boots, polished his sword, and headed to Harlem to take part in one of the biggest parades in New York's history.
As a young boy, to see my father in the parade was one of the greatest things in the world.
Attorney. He was really unknown at that time, but must have been known enough for his diligence, and his name was J. Edgar Hoover. Garvey really gets pinpointed. Hoover, the Justice Department, were clearly hooked on a fixation on Garvey, which would before long become a vendetta.
J. Edgar Hoover wrote to a colleague, "Garvey is a notorious Negro agitator, affectionately referred to by his own race as the Negro Moses." Hoover's agents were in the audience at Carnegie Hall when Garvey bragged that the UNIA would soon be strong enough to exact its own form of justice.
When those crackers lynch a Negro below the Mason-Dixon line, since it is not safe to lynch a white man in any part of America, we shall press the button and lynch him in Africa.
That's what I'm here for.
The agent reported that Garvey's address was met with great applause and much excitement.
Indeed. Weird, huh?